Hello everyone, another live stream. How you doing? We are going to be talking about Spyfall Part 2 in this live stream. It finished half an hour ago. I've been setting up the live stream. I've been making notes to make sure, to gather my thoughts, really, so that I can give you guys the good, the bad, the ugly, the highlights, what I thought of the episode overall. Hopefully you can hear and see me okay. We had some issues with audio last week, so let me know in the live chat. I've got the live chat to the side of me, so I'm going to be glancing over to my right to just see that all is good. So feel free to leave a comment if you're watching. I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to hear what you think of the episode. So throughout this live stream, this is how it's going to work. I am going to share what I think. I've got some points about good, bad things. And what would be really great is to hear what you guys think of both what I have to say and also just in general what you have to say about the episode, because the great thing about doing this live rather than doing a pre-recorded review like lots of other YouTubers do is the fact that we can interact whilst this live stream's going on. And that's one of the best things about it, really, because it means that I can hear what you think, because I haven't looked at social media at all. Whilst I've been setting up this for half an hour, I haven't looked at any social media, so I don't know what the general consensus on that episode was. Like I say, I've quickly jotted down some thoughts, and I'm going to share them with you guys. We've got BJ in the chat. It's an emoji. I think it's a emoji. The nose emoji. Breathing out the nose. I don't know whether that's a negative or a positive. Let me know, BJ, in the chat. Everybody else, like I say, comment down below. Let me know what you're thinking of the episode. Share your thoughts as I share mine. I'm just going to be waffling away for a couple of minutes. Just until we get a few people commenting so that I know that people are watching. There's no point me starting and talking about it until we've got at least a couple of people watching. So let me know when you're watching in the chat. I'm very interested to hear what people have to say. BJ says, I liked most of the episode, but the last 5 minutes got me annoyed. Interesting. Why is that? Let me know. Let me know, BJ. What got you annoyed in the last 5 minutes? I can't really remember exactly what happened in the last 5 minutes specifically. Cool. Right. It's 32. I'm gonna start talking about what I have to say. Michael Reed, it was good, but there was boring parts in it, to be honest. Keenan, the episode just felt really rushed, but I appreciate what they're trying to do story arc-wise. Jacoba Durek, if I pronounced that wrong, I'm sorry. I liked the appearance of Ada Lovelace, but I felt she was very underused. Okay, similar thoughts to what I've got to say, to be honest with you. I am going to start now. Firstly, I'd just like to remind you that you can subscribe to this channel. I'd really appreciate it if you did. So if you haven't already and you're watching and you enjoy the content that I'm bringing out at the minute, please press that subscribe button. I appreciate that a lot. Right, okay, let's get going. So I've got it split into good, bad, highlights and overall. So we're going to start with good. Actually, we're going to start with what I thought generally. I thought the episode was mixed. I thought there were good things and I thought there were bad things. Mostly good, and I'd say it was mostly a good episode. But I would describe it as just good. Whereas last week's part 1, I would probably describe as really good to amazing. I really thought that Spyfall Part 1 was good. Actually, I say last week, it was only Wednesday. But I've watched Spyfall Part 1 at least 2 or 3 times now. So I've got a good, full opinion on what it is. Obviously, when I did the last live stream, I'd only watched it once. I really liked it. I've got to admit, it was very, very good. And then the final sequence happened on the plane, and that blew my mind. And I'd say that pushed it up to an 8, 9 out of 10, I'd say, in my opinion. Really strong episode, especially after Series 11, in my opinion, was mixed, I would say, overall. Dan, hi James. Yay, I was right about the Master's TARDIS, not bragging. Yeah, you were right. You're right. You were right. Interesting. So, what did I think was good, firstly? So, there were a lot of positives to the episode. I really liked the fact that the Doctor finally tells the fam about Gallifrey, about Time Lords. I feel like that was a long time coming, and I am glad that Chibnall sort of weaved that into the story. Whether it was intentional or not was another story. I think that probably Series 11, maybe he just didn't mention it. I don't know whether it was all planned, though. That's the only thing I'd say. I don't know whether he planned that in Series 11 and just sort of thought of this idea afterwards, but it works. I like the fact that she kind of didn't say anything. They had asked her and she didn't say anything. But now, after they'd met the Master and after everything else, they finally found out that she was a Time Lord. They found out that she was from Gallifrey, which was good. I like the idea that Gallifrey was destroyed. I like that idea. It seems like it's somewhat a story arc, which I'm very, very open to. It got even more interesting when it was revealed that the Master was the one who destroyed Gallifrey. I think I like that idea. It's one of those things where I was thinking to myself, I'm not sure if the Master, even the Master, would the Master do that? Because I think back to the end of time, and I think about John Sims' portrayal of the Master when he heard about Gallifrey, when they were talking about Gallifrey, when the Doctor and John Sims' Master was talking about Gallifrey, they both looked at it in a similar light, I thought. I thought that John Sim looked back at it and... But then again, he said that there was something that he found out and he had to punish them because of it. Obviously, we don't know as viewers what that is at the minute. So maybe it's justified. I don't know. BJ, the whole Gallifrey being destroyed just feels wrong. And then the whole thing about the Timeless Child and the Time Lords being a lie pissed me off. What are you thinking, Chibnall? Come on. BJ is not impressed. Doc_11. I liked the episode, but I have a feeling that it was a bit less good than episode 1. I agree. The new story with Gallifrey had me in tears. Like, I don't want Chibnall to mess with it. Elliot, this Master is post-Missy, I think, because he seems to behave as if he was Missy once. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Maybe. So yeah, I feel like there's a lot to say about the Gallifrey being destroyed storyline. I like it. I do like it. I was surprised that Chibnall has taken that on from Moffat, especially when the pocket universe was mentioned and stuff like that. It's good, because what I think sometimes can happen is the showrunners kind of don't like to mention their predecessors' work, and they don't want to mess with what's happened before. So I think it was interesting that the pocket universe was mentioned. It certainly adds some interesting themes around Gallifrey. The fact that it's been not necessarily destroyed like it was in the Time War, because it's not been blown up, but it's been destroyed in the way that it's just chaos. It's very interesting, I've got to admit, and I like it mostly. The only negative thing I have to say is, firstly, like I say, is it out of character for even the Master? Would even the Master destroy Gallifrey? I don't know. And secondly, it kind of feels a little bit like Russell T Davies brought in the Time War, which was a really good plot point. It added a lot of depth to the Doctor. Stephen Moffat undid Gallifrey being blown up, essentially. So Gallifrey was back, but then he did nothing with it. And then Chibnall has gone back again, almost back to Russell T Davies, where Gallifrey is at least somewhat destroyed. And I like it, but bearing in mind that it's kind of already happened, you just think, I don't know, does it feel like it's reusing that plot? I don't know. Obviously, the Doctor wasn't responsible for it this time, so that is different, and the Doctor's going to have to deal with that throughout the series. The fact that she saved Gallifrey, and now the Master's destroyed it, and what is the thing that the Master found out that made him so angry that he had to basically kill everyone? And did he need to kill everyone? Because he blamed the high-ups, it sounded like. So why would you kill all the innocent Gallifreyans? Maybe he didn't, I don't know, but it looked like everyone was dead. Let's see what people are saying. Cyberus16. It always felt like such a cop-out to save Gallifrey in the 50th. I do agree to an extent. So having it happen once again and seeing it destroyed, yes. No way to wriggle out of it. Also, Gallifrey works better as a concept. I actually agree with that. I think that was one of the reasons that Russell T Davies did that in Series 1, was the fact that he wanted to add depth to that story. Because in the classic series, obviously, Gallifrey's there, and the Doctor only visits it now and again, and you just think... I liked the Time War story. I wasn't massively keen on the fact that it was brought back, so I am interested by the idea that it's been destroyed again, particularly the fact that it's not been destroyed by a monster, which at first it seemed like it was actually destroyed by the Master. Doc_11, the destruction of Gallifrey is kind of out of character for me. The Master always admired his home. Chibnall isn't capable to bring such a huge plot twist to reason with that. I agree. I do agree. It's similar to what I've just been saying about the fact that it feels a bit out of character for the Master, like I say. Elliot, the Doctor talks about when the Master or Missy teamed up with him or he betrayed him, and the new Master said, was that he went to see his home almost before he regenerated, making him. That doesn't make sense. I don't know. Cyber16, rather than seeing it and demystifying it, it also helps make the Master seem like such a big threat once more after Missy, who I like, but she was way too playful. Pull yourself together, lady. BJ, Graham was so stupid here, like he was dropped on his head like a baby. The comedy here is really, really crap. I don't know. I kind of liked Graham on the plane when he was sliding down. I thought that was quite funny. We'll talk about that actually in a minute. Okay. So, yeah. The Master chasing the Doctor through time is an interesting idea, I thought. I kind of liked the fact that he kept on popping up wherever the Doctor was. I did feel like it needed more development, though. It felt like there were a lot of good concepts in this episode, and only a few of them were pulled off well. And I don't necessarily think that that was due to bad writing, necessarily. I think it was the fact that, not just for Chibnall, but I think this is something, and I'll mention it in a minute, I think this is something that Stephen Moffat suffered with as well. There was too much stuff to juggle, and this is often sometimes the case with two-parters, where they add so much stuff in the first part, and there's so much stuff to try to explain in the second part, that there just isn't enough time. Yeah, and I think that's what it suffered with. BJ did not like this episode. That's a shame. That is a shame, because I didn't think it was terrible. I just didn't think it was as good as last week. In hindsight, I think it was better than a lot of Series 11, in my opinion. I just didn't think it lived up to the hype that last week's, or Wednesday's episode created. Elliot, I get the feeling that I'm exchanging for a female Doctor, Chris. Thought to calm Whovians, whinges he will keep the Master a male. Meh, I don't necessarily think that's the case. Because, let's face it, Missy was a success. So I don't necessarily think that was the case. Maybe, but I doubt it. I don't think that's the case. So those were the good things about it. And there were other good things. Those were the things that I instantly thought of. There might be other stuff that occurs to me throughout the live stream. Like I say, keep on commenting. It's great to hear what you think. So now on to the stuff that I wasn't as keen on in this episode. So the first thing, like I just touched on, it suffered from an issue which lots of Stephen Moffat written episodes did, and that was the fact that it was a little bit all over the place. 1800s, 1900s. It was executed relatively well. The characters, as always, were well written, but what I found was that it gave us a taste of some interesting environments for Doctor Who episodes, but then it just cut them off. The 1800s, the fact that it was like a science fair kind of thing, that was an interesting idea, and I really liked it, but then they left. The Nazi occupied Paris, really interesting idea with the spy. I can't remember what her name is, something Khan. That was a good idea as well. I really liked it. I liked the idea with the, what's it called? That. But again, they could have spent more time there, and I think it was a shame that it was so woo, 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 woo. And it's good in a way, because I'd rather an episode like that that's very busy than an episode like Summer Series 11, where it kind of felt like there wasn't enough, and it was just a few plot points that were being strung together. So I did prefer today's episode to a Series 11 episode, for example, but I do think it was a shame, because I think what Chris Chibnall had in his head was close to being executed, but wasn't quite as good as it could have been. That's what I would say. The Master was underused. I did feel that. I felt like after the cliffhanger of last week's episode, obviously we didn't see much of the Master in part 1. We saw about 5 minutes or so. So I was hoping to see more of him in this episode, and we did see a fair amount, but I didn't feel like we saw enough to get a good idea of who this Master's incarnation was. I think in Dark Water and Death in Heaven, it did a good job of introducing Missy's incarnation. In Utopia, Last of the Time Lords, no, Utopia, you're going to have to remind me, the Series 3 finale, I can't remember all 3 episodes, I felt like that did a really good job of establishing what John Sims' incarnation, even Utopia as one episode, I feel like did a good job of establishing what Derek Jacobi's incarnation was. This, it did, but I didn't feel like it gave enough that I was really impressed. I do like, I can't remember how to pronounce his name, but I do like this incarnation of the Master. I just feel like maybe he could have done with a bit more screen time, a bit more development. The scene on the Eiffel Tower was good, I thought, but that was, I'd say, the standout scene between the Doctor and the Master in this episode. I liked the bit where the Doctor had to kneel down as well. I thought that was interesting. Right, let's have a look. So, Cyberus 16. Is Daniel Barton coming back later? I don't think we saw what happened to him in the finale, maybe? That's a good point. Did the final scene with Daniel Barton, was that the one where he just walked out of the theatre? Out the door? That's a good point. That wasn't really strung up. Doc 11. Also, think the talk about the Doctor's past should have been answered in this episode. The companions just always agree with everything without a bit of conflict. There can't be character development. Yeah, I agree. Mr. Dalek Emperor 2. I wonder if we'll see any of the survivors of the Master's attacks, like the people who helped him, like the Rani or the meddling monk. That's interesting. That's an interesting idea. Doc 11's replied to that. Maybe we see them through the series. Always giving away a few hints about the finale. That would be awesome. Interesting. Like the idea of that. Mr. Dalek Emperor has replied, true. And this story kind of felt like a finale, so the actual finale must be amazing. Hopefully, I mean, you're right, the stakes did feel massive in this episode and in this two-parter. Jonathan Vlogs, Daniel's ending was weird. Was it just him going out of the doors? Was that the ending of him? Doc 11, or Chibnall messes it up again. Hopefully not. Jonathan Vlogs, I believe Omega could be returning, and I've loved to see more of Gallifrey. Very excited. Yeah, there's always a lot of rumours about Omega, and I haven't even watched Omega in the classic series. I do know that he was one of the founding fathers of Gallifrey, and he's the one with the mask, isn't he? I'm not sure. I think there's always rumours about Omega and Susan and the Rani. I'm not sure. It feels like there've been so many rumours every single series that there's no guarantee that could happen. I really don't know though. Maybe. I wouldn't not like it. Fingers crossed it'll be fantastic. Mr. Dalek Emperor 2 says, yeah, I agree. Okay. So yeah, the Master was underused. Yeah, the monsters. What were they called? Kasavin? Something like that. They kind of came to nothing. I don't know whether it was just me. I got the impression from last week's episode that they were glowing and they were going to be revealed to be something. And throughout the episode, it looked as though at times they were going to turn out to be the Cybermen. There were lots of nods towards technology and upgrading, especially that scene in the hangar with Daniel Barton and his mum. I thought, this is going to turn out to be the Cybermen. Not that I particularly wanted that, because for the last couple of times, every time the Cybermen have been in Doctor Who, the Master's also been in Doctor Who, and I think the Cybermen are strong enough to stand on their own 2 feet. They don't need the Master in an episode to make it good. So I was hoping that it wouldn't be them. I saw on Twitter that some people were theorising throughout the week that it could have been the Vord or something like that. I can't remember exactly how it's pronounced, from the classic series, from I think just one episode from the first Doctor's era. And that would have been really interesting. I thought that worked because it fits with Vore, the Daniel Barton company. But yeah, they kind of came to nothing. How did they even end? They just sort of were there and then they were banished from the universe. Is that what happened? I don't know. I felt like there could have been more to that, I'll be honest. I didn't feel like it was as strong as it could have been. I actually think it was better than a lot of monsters from Series 11, but I didn't feel like they were as strong as they were in Episode 1. I really liked them in Episode 1, and I thought the mystery around, what are they? Why are they glowing? Is there something... Are they actually a monster that we already know? Are they going to be a new monster? And it turned out that they were just glowing the whole time. I got the impression that they were going to be maybe revealed to be something else, but it didn't really happen. Doc 11, I hope so. If the final is going to be as annoying as last series, I'm seriously thinking about stop watching Chibnall's Who. Let's try to be a bit positive. Yeah, I agree. The Battle of Ranskorav Kolos wasn't great. But I think Chibnall has shown that he has listened to a lot of the criticism of Series 11 and he's moving forward. I like the look of next week's episode as well. Cybrus, Rassilon, Omega and the Other are, as I believe, the 3 founders of Gallifrey, so they could be involved with the Timeless Child story. Yeah, that's possible. Interesting. It's an interesting theory. Maybe. I don't know. It was also a bit of an easy fix, and this is tied into the monsters not really coming out to be anything. It reminded me a lot of The Power of Three, which was written by Chibnall, where the ending just kind of happened out of nowhere and it was a quick resolution. That's one of the negatives, I'd say, of the episode. It didn't feel like there was really a fix. I don't even know really what the fix was. So the Doctor went back in time, or went back to Barton's office before they made the deal with the Caravan, or whatever, the Kavaran, whatever they're called, and like put like a virus in the computer system or something like that. I don't know about you, but I felt like her just saying that was all fair and well, but it would have been good to see it. I think I would have easily sacrificed, I don't know, 5 minutes from another time period or another part of the episode to be able to see them do that. I think, yeah, you can just say it, but it would have been more interesting, I think, because at least then you would have partly seen the resolution. And I feel like the problem with this episode was the fact that it kind of was resolved just by the Doctor saying, oh, well, off screen I've been doing this, and I've been doing this, and I've been doing this. And I felt like that was a bit of a cop-out, almost. Jonathan Vlogs, I thought it was the Macra in the Next Time trailer for 3, but it probably isn't. Is that episode 3 you're talking about? That looks interesting, I've got to admit. I'm very interested in that. Let's have a look what else I've got. On the theme of things seeming very interesting but then coming to nothing, the Upside Down world with all the trees. Do we even know what that was? Was that where they were from? I read something on Twitter, I think, that it looked similar to like DNA strands or something to do with nervous systems or something like that. And because there were lots of themes about DNA, I thought, okay, that's what it'll end up being. It'll be like inside like a nervous strand or something like that. It was, yeah, I don't know. The more I think about it, the more disappointed I am with certain bits. But I think it was good overall. And like I say, in comparison to Series 11, it was a lot better. And it's still fresh. I still like the fact that it's different to Stephen Moffat's Doctor Who. Okay, the Master. Hey Master, you've commented saying, I've just joined the live stream. What's your score out of 10? Good question. I would say, if I gave episode 1 an 8, let's say, because I don't know if I'd quite say it's a 9, I'd say this one is possibly a 6. Wasn't as good, but it was still okay. It was still good. Geek Town. I think that Daniel Barton will create the Earth Cybermen in the finale. Possibly. possibly. That is interesting. And actually, I prefer someone like Daniel Barton as a celebrity that is in Doctor Who than the president candidate from last series. I can't remember what his name is. Jonathan Vlog says like the tree upside down place is the Karavan's planet, the aliens' planet. Doc 11, just imagine what the ending was like for a person who does not speak English as their first language. I thought I didn't understand something important. The solution is weird and still a mystery. Yeah, that's what I think. I think I need to watch it again and try to actually watch it and see what I thought of the resolution. I don't think I liked the resolution, but like I say, sometimes it takes a second watch. But realistically, Doctor Who you should be able to watch it once and go, okay, that was a good or a bad episode. This episode was a bit mixed, I thought. So yeah. So what were my highlights of the episode? The Doctor visiting Gallifrey, I thought was great. I thought I didn't expect to see that in Series 12, the Doctor going to Gallifrey, but we did. And when you saw Gallifrey and it actually was destroyed, I had just had my mouth open. I was just watching it like that. I couldn't believe that they went ahead with it. I thought maybe it could be the case that the Master was lying, maybe, but it reminded me a lot of Missy in Death in Heaven when she said, this is the coordinates of Gallifrey, and the Doctor went and it wasn't there. And I thought maybe it's the case that the Master's lying, but he wasn't. And it makes sense. Everything you know is a lie. And it's not just the fact that he destroyed Gallifrey. That's almost the least interesting part of it. It's the fact that he said that he was justified. In that hologram, he said that there was a reason. And he said he had to. And he's not told the Doctor why. And I'm guessing that is going to be the thread through the series. The fact that the timeless child as well was mentioned again. Whether or not that was intentional, I don't know. But I like where it's going. I think it's going more towards a story arc, and I'm excited about that. The Doctor using the 4 beats on the machine, I thought was a really cool thing. I smiled throughout that. I thought that was very clever, very nice callback. The Eiffel Tower scene with the Master and the Doctor I thought was nice as well. Sometimes when an episode is a bit too crazy, you just need a scene like that to just calm down, and that reminded me a little bit of The Power of Three again, the scene outside the Tower of London where the Doctor's talking to Amy, and I think that is actually one of Chris Chibnall's best qualities with writing, the fact that he can make it a bit crazy and then take it back, and you're just on the Eiffel Tower talking, and that's nice. And I always think that's something that's really nice in an episode where the Doctor and the Master are in it, because it's good to see their connection, because at the end of the day they're old friends, and it is good to see them. Jonathan Vlogs, Jodie acting in the last scenes were beautiful and sad. Yeah, I thought it was really nice, especially when she came back into the TARDIS. I thought that was really nice. I think maybe I would have liked more of that, really. It felt like it was a little bit, right, oh, let's put this on the last episode, on the end of the episode. I would have liked maybe to see a little bit more of that. And it was sad when the gang were asking her, who are you? And she tells them everything. And it was sad. I felt like it could have been done better. An example would be Series 3, Episode 3, Gridlock, when the Doctor sits Martha down and tells her about Gallifrey. And it's sad. And he talks about the grass and the orange sky and stuff, and he looks like he's going to burst into tears. And I felt like it could have been done more like that, and it would have maybe worked better. Jodie saying previously at the beginning was a fun little bonus as well. Yeah, I agree. I quite liked that. I honestly quite liked that. I didn't know how they do it. I wondered whether they'd do it previously. I thought it was all right. I mean, it felt a little bit American, but I didn't mind it. I thought it was okay, to be fair. Yeah, and my final highlight was the Timeless Child. The fact that the Timeless Child has been brought back. Whether or not that was planned all along, I don't know. But it is nice to see that it's back. It's nice that Chibnall has filled in that plot hole, because it was mentioned and then nothing was made of it. And in my opinion, I don't think Chris Chibnall intended that to be anything. I think the fact that everyone latched onto that and said, oh my God, Timeless Child, Timeless Child, I think maybe he thought it was a good idea. I could be wrong, but that's what I possibly think. I think maybe that was added in at a later date. Doc 11, maybe the Time Lords were plotting the Time War from the very beginning. Only reason that would force the Master to destroy it. The war was his worst experience after all, maybe. I honestly don't know. What could it possibly be that the Master... Because like I say, it's out of character, but then again, maybe it is out of character. Maybe... Because let's face it, destroying Gallifrey is out of the Doctor's character. But maybe it was the case that something really, really terrible was being planned or something was being done. I don't know, maybe. It is definitely interesting, and I think if that is the finale, great. If that's the finale, as long as it's written well, as long as it's well paced, as long as it is similar to episode 1 in terms of pace and in terms of writing quality, I'll be really happy, I've got to admit. Cyber Doctor 1918, hi. Hi, Cyber Doctor 1918. Yeah, I think that could be a really, really interesting finale if that is the case. I'll be impressed. And hopefully it'll be done right as well. My only concern, right, and this isn't anything to do with me, because obviously I've watched all of New Who, I get it, was the fact that Series 11 was meant to bring people in, and I felt like this two-parter maybe would have alienated them a little bit. The Master wasn't really explained that well, I didn't think. Yeah, it wasn't explained that well. Gallifrey kind of came out of nowhere. When it was first mentioned, it wasn't really established that that was the Doctor's home planet. I think it might have been quite nice for the episode to begin at the end and then go back, with them maybe in the TARDIS, with them asking her, who are you? Her talking about Gallifrey, her talking about Time Lords, her talking about the Master, in a similar way to what Peter Capaldi's Doctor was with Bill at the beginning of Series 10's finale. It gives you a bit of context, and I felt like there wasn't necessarily that context with this episode, and that's my only concern. Like I say, most of us in the chat, including me, will be fine. We get it. We know what Gallifrey is. We know who the Master is. But new viewers, I just don't know. Yeah, I don't know whether it would have confused them a little bit. That's my only thing. I'd just say it's a bit mixed. We've got Vlogsy in the chat. Hey Vlogsy, how you doing? I've joined late, but I'm really happy with the direction so far. Yeah, so am I. Really, really happy. I like the fact that Gallifrey's back. I like the fact that there seems to be a story arc. I can't wait to find out. We've just been talking about what the Master could have possibly found out to destroy Gallifrey, and I really hope that that's some kind of finale plot point. Introduce me as Joker. Hello, Joker. Says, I thought destroying Gallifrey looked absolutely gorgeous. Yeah, VFX, no problem at all. Direction, great. Vlogsy, I haven't felt like that about Doctor Who for a long time. Personally loved it. Definitely needs a conclusion. Yes, 100%. I don't think it would have been brought up unless there's a conclusion coming. So I think it will have a conclusion. I think it must be the finale. If not, Chibnall will be playing the long game and it'll be Jodie's finale, maybe, something like that. But hopefully it gets a resolution. It could be interesting that it's something that leads up to the 60th anniversary, maybe. But maybe that's a bit of a recycle of Day of the Doctor, maybe. I don't know. Geektown, I think Daniel Barton will create the Cybermen. I think that's a big possibility. The fact that he's still alive, that is very, very plausible. Cyber Doctor 1918 seems to agree. So, I've waffled on enough. What was my overall thoughts of it? So I've written down here, it was definitely a step in the right direction from Series 11. Like I say, I liked Series 11, but I thought it was very, very simple and basic at times, which I get was intentional, but I think you can still do basic and still make it interesting. So it's definitely a step in the right direction. The writing has massively improved. The characters have massively improved. I liked all three companions in this two-parter. Yaz particularly I think is a massive improvement, but both Ryan and Graham were both really good as well. So I think it's a massive improvement on Series 11, but I don't think that this episode was as good as episode 1. I think it suffered from something that a lot of two-parters in all programmes, but especially Doctor Who, seem to have, where there is a lot bundled into the first episode and a lot of questions that need answers in the second episode, and just not enough time to answer them all. And I think that was a problem. It was a problem that Moffat had a lot of issues with, and I think it's a problem that Chris Chibnall has shown that he struggled with in this episode. And that's my conclusion, I would say. But overall, I did enjoy it, and I'm looking forward to next week's episode. It looks interesting. I thought James Buckley's hair looks a bit naff. I don't know whether, maybe it was just the shot. Maybe it will look better in the actual episode. Doc 11, we just saw that Arcadia was destroyed, so not the whole planet. The rest could still be fine. True, but he did say that Gallifrey was destroyed, the Master. He didn't say that it was just the sort of... Is that Arcadia? I thought Arcadia was a different city on Gallifrey. I don't know. But he said the whole planet was destroyed. He didn't say that it was just the city. Maybe it's just the Citadel, in which case I would be more interested in that, I think. Yeah, we'll have to wait and find out. I can't wait to find out and talk to you guys about it. Anyway, thanks for watching, everybody. I really, really enjoyed this live stream again. It's good to get back into it. Thanks for joining me in the chat. I'm going to end the live stream here. I hope you enjoyed it. Like I said at the beginning, if you're new to the channel and you haven't already, I'd really appreciate it if you subscribed. That will give you a notification on your newsfeed when I schedule next week's live stream, which will be 30 minutes after episode 3 of series 12. So subscribe if you'd like to. Like I say, I'd really appreciate that. Like the video as well. Comment down below. I love to hear what everyone says. If you're watching this and it's not live anymore, still feel free to comment. It's interesting to hear what you thought as well. Other than that, that's everything I've got to say. I'll see you next weekend, next Sunday. We've got to wait a whole week now for episode 3's reaction of Doctor Who Series 12. It will be very, very interesting, and I'm looking forward to it. So thanks to everyone in the chat. Thanks for commenting. Thanks for watching. I will see you next Sunday for another episode of me reacting live to Doctor Who Series 12. I'm looking forward to it because it looks like a good episode. Anyway, thanks for watching, everybody. Goodbye.